What's going on, y'all? I'm JBHOOPS, and today I got a video on the top Aussie prospect in this year's draft, Dyson Daniels out of the G League Ignite. Dyson Daniels' biggest strength on the court is his defensive intensity and skill set. He's a great defender at 6'8" with a 6'11" wingspan. He can guard 1 through 3 and even some weaker 4s. He slides his feet and stays square really well, and he's really good at shutting off driving lanes and forcing the offensive player into bad shots. Dyson Daniels also has great hands. On the season he averaged over 2 steals a game, and he also has great shot blocking instincts for a guard, using his length when he's beat off the dribble and forced to recover in the pick and roll, or when he's pushed off balance on drives. But he's also great at closing out and staying on balance, and also staying down on pump fakes and contesting shooters. Dyson Daniels is a super versatile wing defender, capable of guarding multiple positions to a great effect. He's not super athletic or anything, but he's great at moving his feet, reading what the offensive player is going to do, gambling in passing lanes, and just being a pest when guarding anyone. On the other end of the court, Dyson Daniels has exceptional touch around the basket, especially on his runners and floaters. It's a very big part of his game, seeing he's not the most explosive athlete, but he is still very good at finishing at the basket, finishing at the rim at about 57%. He's also very crafty with his finishes. He's able to use both hands to great effect, and he's especially great at finishing when he jumps off 2 feet. Now, Dyson Daniels' finishing is going to be extremely important in the NBA, especially because he's not the greatest shooter, and during his time in the G League didn't show a whole lot of pull-up game. But with his exceptional touch on floaters and runners, it's basically impossible to guard someone that's 6'8" and can finish like he does. He does struggle, however, sometimes finishing through contact because he has a pretty slight build. He doesn't really get to the line a lot at all. During the 14-game G League showcase, he only attempted 1.4 free throws a game, and during the 15-game tour, only 1.7 a game. And on the tour, had shot just 38.5% from the line. But that doesn't represent his free throw shooting, because during the showcase he shot 14 of 19, so it's a little bit concerning. But given his touch around the rim and on floaters, I think he'll be fine from the line, and I expect him to be a pretty average free throw shooter at worst. Next up, I want to talk about his playmaking. Dyson Daniels is very unselfish with great vision, and he just has size and feel for the game that you just can't teach. He's a great passer in transition, especially with quick outlet passes, full court kind of passes like Jokic, and he's great at finding open shooters and cutters in the half court, especially in drive and kick scenarios. Offensively, when he's not looking to score, he kind of operates a little bit like Josh Giddey, another great passing Aussie. Now, Daniels obviously isn't as great of a passer as Giddey, but they both play at their same pace, have a high IQ, and take a lot of risks with tight passes and are extremely accurate on them. The concerns I have with Dyson Daniels' playmaking and handling especially is he's not super creative and can sometimes be loose with his handle. He's not really explosive off the bounce, and he mainly uses his IQ and footwork to get to his spots and create openings to get his shot off or to find his teammates, and that sometimes prevents him from getting to the rim or creating an opening, which is why I think he's so reliant on the floater, which he is exceptional at. Now, the final part of his game, which is definitely his swing skill, is his shooting ability. I believe he can be a solid spot-up shooter in the league. Now, his shooting is probably the only area of his game where he really struggles at all. His jumper definitely needs work, but his mechanics are alright. The only thing is speeding up his release, which I'm sure he can work on. He shot pretty poorly on catch and shoot looks, but towards the end of the tour, the shots started to fall. During the last 9 games of the G League Ignite Tour, Daniels shot 45.2% from 3 on 3.4 attempts a game, and that's very promising. I don't think we'll see him be a movement shooter as of now. That could develop, but his shot does take a little bit of extra time to set up, so I think most of his attempts from behind the arc early on will be on catch and shoot looks. He also shoots a little bit flat-footed, so his misses tend to be a bit short, and I think the most concerning thing with him is his terrible free throw shooting during the G League Ignite Tour, hitting just 10 of 26 free throws. He also didn't really display a whole lot of pull-up scoring ability during his time in the G League. He mainly went to his signature move, the floater or spin move floater, or just all the way to the basket. But if he ever adds a reliable pull-up to his bag, he's going to be almost unguardable at his size, especially in the pick and roll. During the G League Ignite Showcase, Dyson Daniels averaged 11.3 points, 6.2 rebounds and 4.4 assists, including 1.9 steals and 0.7 blocks, shooting 45% from the field and 26% from 3. but it was over the G League Ignite Tour in which he played 15 games, which we saw them numbers increase. He averaged almost 12 points a game, along with 7.4 rebounds and 5.1 assists, along with 2.1 steals on the defensive end and the same 0.7 blocks, shooting a similar 46% from the field, but a drastic increase at 35% from 3. If Dyson Daniels can be an average shooter, that just unlocks so much more of his game and makes him so much more of an offensive threat, opening up his game to allow him to hit a lot of floaters, create for others, and get to the rim with ease. Dyson Daniels is one of my favourite prospects in this year's draft, especially because he is an Aussie guy. I think he'll end up getting drafted towards the late end of the lottery, but can see him going as high as 8 or 9. As for a comparison for him, there's a little bit of Josh Giddey with the way they operate in the pick and roll and kind of play at their own pace. Also a little bit of Kyle Anderson in that sense. But I think Dyson Daniels is a better defender than both of those guys, a better athlete, as well as a better shooter. Another guy I would say is he's a little bit like Lonzo Ball, especially with the size, playmaking ability, defense and hands, IQ, and they're both not the best shot creators, and both came into the league as poor shooters, but Lonzo eventually improved, and I think Dyson Daniels can as well. That's all I got for this video. Leave a like, subscribe for more. JBHOOPS.